Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to talk about types of neuron. What are the types of neuron? Neuron, as we know that neuron is the basic structural and functional unit of the nervous system. So what are the types of neuron? Neuron are of many types like motor neuron, sensory neuron, associative neuron, bipolar neuron, monopolar neuron, multipolar neuron, Golgi type 1 neuron, Golgi type 2 neuron. Okay, we classify neuron into three main groups. We classify neuron on the basis of pole classification. Number 1, based on pole. What are the types of neuron based on the pole? Number 2, based on function. What are the types of neuron based on the function and size of axon? Based on the pole of the neuron, there are three types of neuron: monopolar neuron, bipolar neuron, and multipolar neuron. What is mean by the pole? Pole mean that how many poles, how many branch is directly arise from the cell body. As we know that this is a neuron, this is the cell body, this is the main part of the neuron. Pole mean how many branch arrives from this cell body. This is the branch 1, this is the branch 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7 branch arise from the neuron. So this is the multipolar neuron. What is monopolar neuron? Monopolar neuron are those neuron from which a single branch is directly arise from the cell body. Suppose this is the neuron, this is a monopolar neuron, this is the monopolar neuron. This is the monopolar neuron. What is monopolar neuron? Monopolar neuron are those neuron which have one branch. This is the one branch which is directly arise from the cell body. Okay, then this branch is further divided into two branch. This is the branch 1 and this is the branch 2. The branch 1 is called the axon, while the branch 2 is called the dendrite. This is the axon and this is the dendrite. This is the sensory neuron. This is the sensory neuron. Look at this diagram. Suppose this one is the spinal cord. This is the cut section of the spinal cord. This is the skin. This is the skin of finger. This is the skin of the finger. This one is the sensory neuron. Sensory neuron, suppose it start from the skin of the finger, from this point. Suppose from this point, this neuron is start. This is the dendrite part of the neuron. And this is the cell body, while this one is the axon. So this is the monopolar neuron which have cell body in the ventral root ganglion, which make a ventral root ganglion. So what is monopolar neuron? Which have one pole arise from the cell body. This is the sensory neuron. Monopolar neuron have one differential character, which is it have long dendrites, because this dendrite is when I touch this part, then message is carried to the central nervous system with the help of sensory neuron, and there The message is a decide, and the response is go to the muscle of the hand with the help of the motor neuron. So this is the sensory neuron, this is the associative neuron, this is the motor neuron. But the sensory neuron, the monopolar neuron, have long dendrite. This dendrite start from here, from the finger, and go to the ganglia. What is ganglia? Ganglia is a group of the cell bodies near and near to this to the spinal cord. So this neuron start from the finger and end at the spinal cord. So this is the dendrite. This is the dendrite which is end at this point. So monopolar neuron have long dendrite and a short axon. This is the axon. What is the bipolar neuron? Bipolar neuron are those neurons which have two poles directly arise from the bipolar neuron. This is the bipolar neuron which have two poles. This is the cell body which have two poles directly arise from the cell body. This is the bipolar neuron. This one is the motor neuron. This one is the motor neuron. As you see here, this neuron starts from this point. This neuron will have short dendrites. This is the cell body of the motor neuron. These are the dendrites of the motor neuron, while this one is the axon of the motor neuron. The axon of the motor neuron reach at this point or at this point. Suppose I touch this this point of the finger, and so this message go to the spinal cord, and then axon bring a response to the muscle of this point. So I contract this muscle to save my finger from the further injury. So the axon is coming from the spinal cord up to this point. So motor neuron have long axon because this axon is start from the spinal cord and go to this point, to this muscle. So I contract this muscle in order to save my finger from the further injury. So motor neuron has long axon. This is the bipolar neuron. What is mean by the multipolar neuron? This one is the multipolar neuron. Multipolar mean many pole derived from the central point. This is the central point. This part this is the pole 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. There are 7 pole derived from the central point from the cell body. So this is called the multipolar neuron. This one is the interneuron. This one is the interneuron. Here you can see that interneuron. This is the interneuron which receive impulse, which receive stimulus from the axon of the sensory neuron. These are the dendrites of the associative neuron or interneuron, and then this message is go toward the dendrite of the motor neuron with the help of the axon. So this is the multipolar neuron. This one is okay based on the pole, based on the function. There are 3 types of neuron based on the function: motor neuron, sensory neuron, and interneuron. This one is the sensory neuron. Sensory neuron have long dendrite and short axon. Sensory neuron have 2 parts mainly. This is the sensory neuron. This one is the peripheral branch. This is called the peripheral branch, while this one is called the central branch. because it is present at the periphery. It is present at the finger, at the hand, wrist, and so on. This is the peripheral branch of the sensory neuron, while this one is the central branch because this branch is present near to the spinal cord. This one is the sensory neuron. Other type motor neuron, sensory neuron are those neuron which carry information, which bring information, stimulus from the receptor. This is the sensory neuron. Motor neuron are those neuron which carry information, which carry response against that stimulus. This is a motor neuron which carry response against that stimulus to this muscle. This is the function of the motor neuron. What is the function of the associative neuron or interneuron? Interneuron receive stimulus from the sensory neuron and judge this stimulus and then give response to the motor neuron. This is the function of the associative neuron. This is okay. Based on the size of the axon, neuron have two types: Golgi type 1 neuron and Golgi type 2 neuron. Golgi type 1, Golgi type 1 and Golgi type 2 neuron. Golgi type 1 neuron are those neurons which have long axon, This is the Golgi type 1 neuron which have long axon and a short dendrite. So motor neuron is the Golgi type 1. This is the type 1 neuron. Okay. Golgi type 2 neuron are those neurons which have long dendrite but small axon. This one and this one is the Golgi type 2 neuron. This have small axon and this also have small axon. So sensory neuron and interneuron are the Golgi type 2 neuron. So these are the types of neuron based on the pole, based on the function, based on the size of neuron. So these are the three main classes of the neuron.